So this is a topic that I again, don't have notes for. I'm kind of talking off the cuff because it's been something really real for me recently and I'm kind of struggling, and I haven't processed it or talked to my therapist about it or anything. But I want to share it so that maybe if you're like me, like we can talk and be like, yeah, I totally get that. So I noticed many years ago that for me, video sessions can be a little bit difficult because it's a lot of intensity. It's a lot of heady stuff, like talking from your head, and you're trying to make a connection, and there's just a lot of talking, and there's no touching. And I want to make it available because, I mean, I can do it. It just doesn't have that same experience. And when I'm with my family, my kids, or my partners, and here we are, like, let's sit down and have a conversation, right? I get, and actually it's really hard for me. Like, I can tell that my head starts to hurt a little bit. I start to get like drained and my energy starts to go, and I just want to go to sleep, like desperately. Like I could just go to sleep. It's really hard to like stay connected for a long conversation. And at the same time, if I have a session with a client and it's a cuddle session, I can cuddle for 3 hours, 5 hours. I've cuddled up to 10 hours. And you start to think like, and I can talk and I can listen. I'm like, that's different. How's that a thing? How is it possible that I can do that? And I think it really has a lot to do with touch. So one day when my youngest is an adult, I will probably need to sit down and apologize and explain why last night I could not be with them while they were like having a really emotional time. I was there for some time, but eventually I can feel like my energy starts to drain. And like, it is very difficult and painful to be in that space. And if I ask, may I touch you, may I hold you? It's like, no, right? So I don't get permission to do any touching or holding. And I can just tell that my energy's dwindling and I cannot be in that space much longer. And that's hard when it's your kid. And this would be the same again with a partner or a friend. Like if I spend time with somebody and I want to talk with them at some point, like this is just a part of me that just starts to dwindle. But if I had a chance to hold that person, like bring them in, I'll grab my cat. Ow! If I could take them in my arms, she didn't consent, but it's okay. And if I can just hold, I tell you, there's something about that that's like, I can listen in a way that I can't listen without touch. She's done. Go kitty. So I wonder again, like what that's about, right? It takes it out of the head and it puts it into the body. And that person gets out of their head, right? Especially if they're like spinning and spinning. My cat is cute, thank you. If they're spinning and spinning and spinning in their head, I can feel that spin, and it's like, okay, this is way too much. But like, if you can really get with that touch and that connection, like, there's just this co-regulation that happens. We're connecting, it's more from the body as opposed from the head, and so it's not draining me as much. And I'm able to stay there present for a much longer time. Sometimes it's also helpful if like you're with a partner and you have a big conversation that you need to have with them. Like maybe there's a conflict. It's often recommended to hold their hand while you talk. Like that might be really important to just get a chance, or maybe just even a little touch. Maybe not holding complete hands, but some way that you're touching that reminds you to be in your body, and maybe speak from your heart and not so much from the head. I have a child, one of my teenagers is really good at like speaking from his head, and it's just like so heady and questions and thoughts, and it's like it never ends. You have one of those kids, they're just like, please stop talking. And I will tell him like, I can only handle a little more of this conversation with you in the head. And it's so different again when it's coming from the body. And I'll ask him like, what is your heart saying? As opposed to your head, like all of the fears and like this, Gen Z generation, it's like there's so much fear and anxiety about stuff. It's like, what is your heart saying? And can I hear from your heart? Because then at least I can connect more. But if I could just touch, right, that would make a huge difference. So if you relate, let me know. And then trying to introduce myself. I'm Janet Trevino. I'm a professional cuddler and intimacy specialist here in San Antonio, Texas. And encouraging people, if you like it and it feels good, find ways to touch, especially if you're needing to have that deep emotional conversation with someone. It can make the biggest difference if you find yourself draining. All right, enjoy that. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Bye. How about I turn you off? Bye.